They called him Jesus. He came to love, heal and forgive. He lived and died to buy my pardon. An empty grave is there to prove my Savior lives. Because He lives, I can face tomorrow. Because He lives, all fear is gone. Because I know who holds the future, and life is worth the living just because He lives.
Alright, I'm interested in what's going to happen next in Joshua. And we are on chapter 9. And it came to pass when all the kings which were on this side of Jordan, in the hills, and in the valleys, and all over the coast of the great sea, over against Lebanon, the Hittites, the Amorites, and the Canaanites, and the Perizzites, the Hittites, and the Jebusites heard thereof, and they gathered themselves together to fight with Joshua and with Israel with one accord. And when the inhabitants of Gideon heard that Joshua had done into Jericho and into Ai, I'm going to read 2 over. And they gathered themselves together to fight with Joshua and Israel with one accord. And when the inhabitants of Gideon heard that Joshua had done unto Jericho and Ai, they did work willingly, and went and made as if they had been ambassadors, and took old sacks upon their asses, and wine bottles old and rent, and they bound up, and an old shoe, and clotted upon their feet with old garments upon them, and all the bread of their possessions was dry and moldy. And they went to Joshua and to the camp at Gilgal, and said unto him, to the men of Israel, we be come from a far country. Now therefore make ye a league with us. And the men of Israel said unto Haggai, peradventure ye dwell among us, and how shall we make a league with you? And they said unto Joshua, we are thy servants. And Joshua said unto them, who are ye, and from whence come ye? And they said unto him, from a very far country thy servants are come because of the name of the Lord thy God. For we have heard the fame of him, and all he did in Egypt, and all that he did to the king of the Amorites that were beyond Jordan, to Sihon king of Heshbon, and to Og king of Bashan, which was at Asheroth. Wherefore our elders and all the inhabitants of our country spake unto us, saying, take victuals with you for the journey, and go meet them, and say unto them, we are your servants. Therefore now make ye a league with us. My nose is going crazy. 12. This our bread we took hot for our provisions out of our house on the day we came forth to go unto you. But now behold, it is dry, and it is moldy. I don't think bread gets moldy now, does it? We don't give it time to even test it anymore. And these bottles of wine which were filled were new, and behold, they be rent. And these our garments and our shoes are overcome, all by reason of the very long journey. That'd be something if one of them was really fat. And the man took of their victuals, and asked not counsel at the mouth of the Lord. And Joshua made peace with them, and made a league with them. Whoa. To let them live. And the prince of the congregation swore unto them. And it came to pass at the end of 3 days, after they had made a league with them, that they heard that they were their neighbors, and that they were dwelt among them. And the children of Israel journeyed and came into their cities on the 3rd day. Now their cities were Gibeon and Chephirah and Beeroth and Kirjath-jearim. And the children of Israel smote them not, because the prince of the congregation had sworn unto them by the Lord God of Israel. And all the congregation murmured against the princes. And all the princes said unto all the congregation, We have sworn unto them by the Lord of Israel. Now therefore we may not touch them. This we will do to them. We will even let them live, lest wrath be upon us because of the oath which we swore unto them. And the prince said unto them, Let them live, but let them be hewers of wood and drawers of water unto all the congregation, as the princes had promised them. And Joshua called for them, and he spoke unto them, saying, Wherefore have ye beguiled us, saying, We are very far from you, when you dwell among us? Now therefore you are cursed, and there shall none of you be freed from being bondmen, and hewers of wood, and drawers of water for the house of my God. And they answered Joshua and said, Because it was certainly told thy servant, how that the Lord thy God commanded his servant Moses to give you all the land, and to destroy all the inhabitants of the land from before you. Wherefore we were sore afraid of our lives because of you, and had done this thing. And now, behold, we are in thy hand, as it seemeth good and right unto thee to do unto us too. And so did he unto them, and delivered them out of the hands of the children of Israel, that they slew them not. And Joshua made them that day hewers of wood and drawers of water for the congregation, and for all the altars of the Lord, even unto this day, in the place which he should choose. So in other words, instead of killing them, they did keep their pact, which that's good to do. You always should keep your word, no matter if it's good or bad, and find another way to make it work for you. And now they have to draw the water, and cut the wood for the congregation, the house of the Lord. All right, we're on chapter 10. Now it came to pass when Adoni-Zedek, king of Jerusalem, had heard how Joshua had taken Ai, and had utterly destroyed it, as he had done to Jericho and her king, so he had done to Ai and her king, and how the inhabitants of Gibeon had made peace with Israel, and were among them. Now I got to say this. Let's go back up here, and let me find it. As he had done to Jericho and her king. Her king. So the city Jericho is a her. So any town is called a her. I can understand why. Because the king always, fill in the blank, it's people there. And it starts with an F. Adam knew Eve. Okay, now I think you all know what I'm saying. Number 2. All right, that they feared greatly because Gideon was a great city, as one of the royal cities, and because it was greater than Ai, and all the men thereof were mighty. Wherefore, Adon Zedek, king of Jerusalem, sent unto Hoham, the king of Horam, and unto Param, the king of Jormuth, and unto Jatha, king of Lachith, or Lacherish, and unto Debar, king of Eglon, and saying, Come up unto me, and help me, that we might smite Gideon, for it hath made peace with Joshua and the children of Israel. Therefore the 5 kings of the Amorite, and the kings of Jerusalem, and the kings of Haram, and the kings of Jarmuth, and the kings of Lachish, the king of Eglon, gathered themselves together and went up, they and all their host, and encamped before Gibeon, and made war against it. And the men of Gibeon sent to Joshua to the camp of Gilgal, saying, Slacken not thy hand from thy servant. Come up to us quickly, and save us, and help us, for all the kings of the Amorite that dwelled in the mountains are gathered together against us. So Joshua ascended from Gilgal, he and all the people of war with him, and all the mighty men of valor. And the Lord said unto Joshua, Fear them not, for I have delivered them into thy hand. There shall not a man of them stand before thee. Joshua therefore came unto them suddenly, and went up from Gilgal all night. And the Lord discomfited them before Israel, and slew them with a great slaughter at Gibeon, and chased them along the way that goeth up to Beth Horon, and smote them to Azekah and to Makkedah. And it came to pass, as they fled from before Israel, and there is going down to Bethhorn, that the Lord cast down great stones from heaven upon them unto Ezekah, and they died. They were more which died with the hailstones than they whom the children of Israel slew with the sword. Then spoke Joshua to the Lord in the day when the Lord delivered up the Amorites before the children of Israel. And he said in the sight of Israel, Sun, stand thou still upon Gideon, and the moon in the valley of Ajalon. And the sun stood still, and the moon stayed, until the people had avenged themselves upon the enemies. Is not this written in the book of Jasher? So the sun stood still in the midst of heaven, and hasted not to go down about a whole day. Now I have the book of Jasher. I've got it lent out, and I've been trying to get it back, and I haven't got it back yet. I believe I need to push on it. All right, 14. And there was no day like that before it or after it, that the Lord hearkened unto the voice of a man, for the Lord fought for Israel. And Joshua returned, and all Israel with him, unto the camp of Gilgal. But those 5 kings fled and hid themselves in a cave at Makkedah. And it was told Joshua, saying, The 5 kings are found hid in the cave at Makkedah. And Joshua said, Roll great stones upon the mouth of the cave, and set men by it to keep them. Ooh. And stay ye not, but pursue after your enemies, and smite the hindmost of them. Suffer them not to enter into their cities, for the Lord your God hath delivered them into your hand. And it came to pass, when Joshua and the children of Israel had made an end of slaying them with a very great slaughter, till they were consumed, that the rest of them, which remained of them, entered into a fenced city. And all the people returned to the camp to Joshua at Markah in peace. None moved his tongue against any of the children of Israel. Then said Joshua, Open the mouth of the cave, and bring out those 5 kings unto me out of the cave. And they did so, and brought forth those 5 kings unto him out of the cave, and the king of Jerusalem, the king of Horam, and the king of Jarmuth, and the king of Lachish, and the king of Eglon. And it came to pass, when they brought out those kings unto Joshua, that Joshua called for all the men of Israel, and said unto the captains of the men of war which went with him, Come near, put your feet upon the neck of these men. And they came near and put their feet upon the neck of them. And Joshua said unto them, Fear not, nor be dismayed. Be strong and of good courage. For thus shall the Lord do to all your enemies against whom ye fight. And afterwards Joshua smote them, and slew them, and hung them on 5 trees. And they were hanged upon the trees until evening. And it came to pass at the time of the going down of the sun that Joshua commanded, and they said, Take them down off the tree, and cast them into the cave wherein they had been hid, and lay great stone in the cave's mouth, which remaineth until this very day. And that day Joshua took Machariah, I don't know what that, and smote it with the edge of the sword, and the king thereof be utterly destroyed, them and all the souls that were therein. He let none remain. And he did to the king of Markakita, Kawada, whatever. I can't, as he did unto the king of Jericho. I just can't get these names. And Joshua passed from Makadiah, and all of Israel with him to Libnah, and fought against Libnah. I'm on 30. And the Lord delivered it also, and the kings thereof, into the hands of Israel. And he smote it with the edge of the sword, and all his souls that were therein. He let none remain in it, but did unto the kings thereof as he did unto the kings of Jericho. And Joshua passed from Libnah, and all of Israel with him, unto Lachish, and encamped against it, and fought against it. And the Lord delivered Lachish into the hands of Israel, which took it on the 2nd day, and smote it all with the edge of the sword, and all his souls therein, according to all that he had done unto Libnah. Then Horam, king of Gezor, came up against Lachish at the same place, and Joshua smote him and his people until he had left him none remaining. And from Lachish Joshua passed unto Eglon, and all Israel with him, and they encamped against it, and fought against it. And they took it on that day, and smote it with the edge of the sword, and all his souls that were therein he utterly destroyed that day, according to all that he had done to Lachish. And Joshua went up from Eglon, and all of Israel with him, and to Hebron, and they fought against it, and they took it, and smote it with the edge of the sword, and the kings thereof, and all these cities thereof, and all the souls that were therein. He left none remaining according to all that he had done unto Eglon, but destroyed it utterly, and all the souls therein. And Joshua returned, and all Israel with him, to Debor, and fought against it, and he took it, and the kings thereof, and all the cities thereof, and they smote them with the edge of the sword, and utterly destroyed all the souls that were therein. He left none remaining. As he had done to Hebron, so he did to Debor, and unto the kings thereof, and as he had done unto also to Libnah, and to her king. So Joshua smote all the countries of the hills, and of the south, and of the valley, and of the springs, and all their kings. He left none remaining, but utterly destroyed all that breathed, as the Lord God of Israel commanded. And Joshua smote them from Kadesh Barnea even unto Gaza, and to all the country of Goshen, even to Gibeon. And all these kings and their land did Joshua take at one time, because the Lord God of Israel fought for Israel. And Joshua returned, and all of Israel with him, unto the camp to Gilgal. All right, we're on chapter 11. And it came to pass, when Jabin king of Hazor had heard those things, that he sent to Jacob king of Madon, and the king of Shiram, and the king of Arshwa. Oh boy, here we go again. And to the kings that were on the north of the mountains, and of the plains south of Chin Neroth, and the valley, and in the borders of Dor on the west, and unto the Canaanites on the east and on the west, and unto the Amorites, and the Hittites, and the Perizzites, and the Jebusites in the mountains, and unto the Haphites under Huram in the land of Mizpah. And they went out, and they and all their hosts with them, much people, even as the sand that is upon the seashore, in multitude, with horses and chariots very many. All right, we're on bullet. Wait a minute. Bullet took my attention. Okay, we're on number 5. And when all the kings were met together, they came and pitched together at the waters of Moran to fight against Israel. And the Lord said unto Joshua, Be not afraid because of them, for tomorrow about this time I will deliver them up, all slain before Israel. Thou shalt rough their horses and burn their chariots with fire. Alright, I gotta turn it. For some reason my page will not turn. It's stuck together. So Joshua came, and all the people war with them, against them by the waters of Merom. Suddenly, and they fell upon them, and the Lord delivered them into the hands of Israel, who smote them, and chased them into the great Zidon, and into Misrephonim, Mayam, and into the valley as Mizpah eastward, and they smote them until they left them none remaining. And Joshua did unto them as the Lord bade him. He roughed their horses and burnt their chariots with fire. And Joshua at that time turned back and took Hazor, and smote the king thereof with the sword. For Hazor before time was the head of all the kingdoms. And they smote all the souls that were therein with the edge of the sword, utterly destroying them. There was not any left to breathe. And he burnt Hazor with fire, And all the cities of those kings and all the kings of them did Joshua take and smote them with the edge of the sword, that he utterly destroyed them, as Moses the servant of the Lord commanded. But as for the cities that stood still in their strength, Israel burned none of them, save Hazor only, that did Joshua burn. And all the spoils of those cities, and the cattle and the children of Israel took for a prey unto themselves. But every man they smote with the edge of the sword, until they had destroyed them. Neither left they any to breathe. And as the Lord commanded Moses his servant, so did Moses command Joshua, and so did Joshua. He left nothing undone of all that the Lord commanded Moses. So Joshua took all that land, the hills, and all the south country, and all the land of Goshen, and the valley, and the plain, and the mountains of Israel, and the valley of the same, even from the Mount Horlak that goeth to Shore, even unto Belgad, in the valley of Lebanon, under the Mount Horman, and all the kings he took, and smote them, and slew them. Moses made war a long time with all these kings. Now I want you to know, if you look at how big Israel is right now, it is bigger. It was supposed to be bigger. Something has happened to the land as time has went on, and it is so much smaller. All right, 19. There was not a city that made peace with the children of Israel, save the Havites, the inhabitants of Gideon. All other they took in battle. For it was the Lord to harden their hearts, that they should come against Israel in battle, that he might destroy them utterly, and that he might have no favor, but that he might destroy them as the Lord commanded Moses. And at that time came Joshua, and cut off the Anakims from the mountains, from the Hedron, from Debor, and from Naab, and from all the mountains of Judah, and from all the mountains of Israel. Joshua destroyed them utterly with their cities. And there was none of the Anakims left in the land of the children of Israel, only in Gaza, in Gath, and in Ashdod there remained. So Joshua took the whole land, according to all that the Lord said unto Moses, and Joshua gave it for an inheritance unto Israel, according to their division by their tribe, and the land rested from war. Well, we are on chapter 12, and we will finish that, start on that one tomorrow. But we had a lot of war going on there. So I will see you guys tomorrow.